BigFooty Blues. BigFooty Blues. BigFooty Blues. Turn the BigFooty Blues.
And we're back again, this time for episode 8 of the 2015 Patrick Cripps podcast. Sorry, that should read BigFooty Blues Podcast. It's just that young Patrick Cripps is the talk of the Carlton town at the moment after a breakout performance on the weekend. Anyway, that's enough talking about Cripps from me. Let me introduce our panel so that they can talk about Cripps. ShanDog is on deck.
Cripps. Rising star.
Our foreign correspondent Mevy is here.
Hello. And
trying grimly to hang on as things are getting very squeezy on there. It's the president of the Patrick Cripps bandwagon, HBF.
His performance was choice, bro.
Oh, that wasn't good.
Let's just go straight into the first segment so that we can talk more about Cripps. It's time for the weekend wake.
This is the Weekend Wake.
So on Saturday in New Zealand, St Kilda 12-9-81 went down to our beloved Blue Baggers 18-13 121. Goals for Carlton: Henderson 5, Bell 4, Gibbs 2, Everett 2, singles to Jones, Allard, Cripps, Toohey, Armfield. Named in the best for Carlton were Murphy, Cripps, Henderson, Bell, Toohey, Everett and Walker. And Tutt was replaced before the game by Matthew Dick, who started as a sub. Other injuries, Allard injured his nose, and Buckley had a cork thigh. Who wants to start off?
I'll start. Look, it was an interesting game to go and watch live in New Zealand. Even just walking to the ground, there was so many people that did what Mebby and I did, was that just flew in for the game. I doubt there would have been, 200 Kiwis actually there, but got in, had a look around, nice little stadium. Looks a bit like Etihad actually, just with no roof. First quarter was a real shambles. I was thinking about walking out, to be honest, but thankfully I stayed and saw a pretty good fight back. Mick gave them the biggest roast at quarter time. He just dragged them straight in. The line coaches didn't really get anywhere near him until right at the end of the quarter time break. So obviously what he said must have worked, and I think we saw what we can probably expect from Patrick Cripps for a long time. I hope his game was amazing, just the way he ran, and looking at him after the game, he was exhausted. I can't remember the stats he had. I'm sure one of you guys will know, but just an amazing game. I think he's really sort of announced himself as a real future leader of the club, and a really good player that I think we all hoped he would grow into, like a Josh Kennedy or a Jobe Watson, and I think we can really see that emerging. And what is he, just turned 19? So really happy that I saw that game live.
Yeah, well, it was a good one to see. Just on those stats, 33 disposals, 23 contested possessions. I think Murphy had 24, but somebody said Murphy's 24 was the highest from a Carlton player since, I think, Judd might have had 25 a couple of years back, but it's been a fair while, so 23 contested possessions is immense. 11 tackles with that, so he wasn't just winning the ball, he was tackling harder than I've seen a Carlton player in a long time. 8 clearances, he pretty much did it all.
And a hit out. I think what I love about him is just the composure he shows for someone who has only played 6 or 7 games and who's just turned 19. He looks like he's been playing the game for 3 or 4 years. He just seems to understand the game around him, and he seems to make a lot of right decisions. So, Shane Rogers gets bagged constantly on the board, but I think he's got this one dead right, getting Cripps when he did.
You've had a good game when there's only 1-0 in the entire advanced stats column on the AFL website, and that's bounces. Well, actually, he had 0 behinds too, and if he hadn't have shanked a shot at goal so badly, he would have probably had a behind there as well.
I think we're talking before the podcast started about him pushing a St Kilda player off the ball, and I'm pretty sure that guy bounced.
Yeah, he did too.
No, I think he wondered what hit him.
I think it was, Cripps had obviously a massive game, but it was really good to see Murph have such a good one as well. He worked his way into it quite well and put his head over the ball and won a lot of contested possession, obviously. So those two guys working in there, that was brilliant. A lot of the senior players sort of stepped up a little bit again. Bryce Gibbs was a bit quiet, but look, great win over the Saints, but it's great to get that win.
Yeah.
I think in all the Cripps love, though, people have overlooked someone like Tom Bell's improvement. He kicked 4 goals, but it wasn't just his goals. Like, there was one point where he did just a normal kick, whatever, but he actually hit someone on the chest, not their ankles or their head. And I know that doesn't sound like anything to get too excited about, but it is Tom Bell we're talking about, and I don't think he got caught holding the ball once, and his improvement from some of the performances that he had last year to the one that he had on Saturday, his second half was really, really good.
Yeah, it definitely was. And 100% disposal efficiency for Bell.
What the heck?
100%. 16 disposals, 10 of those were contested, and he still had 100% efficiency. That's not a normal Tommy Bell game. So, and you say people weren't giving him credit during the game. I ran out of superlatives and stupid things to say on the match thread regarding Bell's goals. I just could not believe that he was.
Yeah, I just think it's important to remember that while Cripps was fantastic, HBF isn't going to like me saying this, he wasn't the only one out there. So
he wasn't.
He definitely wasn't. And even Hendo found some form and kicked 5 goals, and here's me saying, well, you need to put him down back. Obviously, there's a reason why I don't work for the football club.
And me.
Yeah, I think quite a few of us were saying it, so I don't feel too stupid. But there were quite a few players who, okay, if we write off the first quarter and maybe half of the second quarter, then, you know, there were a few performances that surprised and delighted me.
Absolutely. I want to give credit to Dylan Buckley for providing a lot of run and drive. Just the 16 possessions, but he knows he knows where players are. He knows how to find players in the open. So just those handballs into the corridor and stuff like that to players on the run. He's picking up the runners, and he does it well. He just got a good head on his shoulders, and I don't know why he wasn't in the side before, but he should be staying there.
Totally. I think even having Bokhorst as well, you could tell that he tired after 2.5, 3 quarters, but having him and Buckley in the side just gave us something that we've been missing for the last 3 weeks, and that's like a little bit of zip and a little bit of
energy and enthusiasm.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just think, this is what we've wanted this year. We've been saying play the kids, and obviously we don't want to play them when it's unwarranted, but how exciting is it when they do well?
Yeah, it was a good debut for Bokhorst. To come in and have an impact is all you really want in your first game, and he did, so that was good. He definitely faded out a little bit, but ticking the box for him, great start.
Yeah, Bokhorst did that last week against Williamstown. He was barely sighted in that last quarter, so I don't think him tiring was really unexpected. One passage of play that I really wanted to mention was in the first quarter that ended up having that shot that Everett had on goal, which was later reversed to a point. Bokhorst basically started that on the back flank, and then he ended up running what was probably 80 or 90 metres to deliver the ball to Everett. So just that, I suppose, that game awareness for him to really get involved and really run hard was really something that I think a lot of us wanted to see. So I think he can only get better as well, which was a good sign.
But even the supporters sitting around us, they were all sort of murmuring about Bokhorst, and I sort of assumed that not everybody is obsessed with Carlton as we are, spending the majority of our day posting things like "Yay Cripps" with 50 exclamation points. Even they were saying, that he looked so composed under pressure, and it's such a nice change from the players that we had last year. Say, for example, a Mitch Robinson, who would just bang it on the boot and just cross his fingers and hope it went somewhere. he takes the time to make the right decision, but he still doesn't look like he's about to get caught. He just looks really calm and collected.
It's such a relief to have finally found one. All the crap about our recruiting and our development, and you see a player, 6-game player, come out and do something like that. We see it all the time with other teams, and we go on where a new player shines, and you can see that it's going to be a good one, and you're thinking, when are we going to get one that looks like a standout star, that they're actually going to become elite? It just seems like, whether our development's been down or not, Cripps has developed himself.
Pretty much.
What he has. He's gone out and worked on his deficiencies in his own time, and he's really driven, and that can only be good for our club to actually sort of raise the bar. And it's just, I don't know. I know we're carrying on about him a lot this week, and he is officially the Rising Star nomination for the week in what has been a big week for Rising, for candidates. But we bang on about him. That's because we haven't had a lot else to bang on about, as far as we have players who look good in their early games, and you're hopeful. Kane Lucas looked good in his early games, and we were hopeful. But we've never seen a new player, not for a long, long time. We've seen a player that 6 games into their career who's actually stood out and been elite on the day.
I think he sets a really good example as well for everyone on the team, not just the younger kids. But he went in the off-season and worked on his deficiencies. He didn't wait for us to hire someone to help him work on it. And I think that's really important. It's like, even in the workplace, when you've got someone who's got a great work ethic and all that sort of thing, it sort of lifts the whole team up. So hopefully that will happen at Carlton, and people will look at Cripps and say, that's the standard that we want.
What do we read into the first quarter?
It was awful.
It was the worst quarter I've seen Carlton play in a long time, and we've seen some bad ones.
It was actually embarrassing. Like, it was laughable. It was that embarrassing. None of the handballs hit targets. Their kicking was atrocious. I can't even count how many marks were dropped, like just missed completely. It was, I don't know, it was awful.
Could we just put it down to just one of those quarters? I mean, I'm not defending him, but the turnaround was quite stark. I mean, it was I think St Kilda's biggest lead was 26 points. So we turned it around by 66 points, which is a fair effort. I'm just wondering if they thought, well, it's St Kilda, go through the motions a bit. We'll just turn up 4 points. It might have just been that.
I hope not, because aren't we over that sort of thinking? This team have got no right to expect anything.
I completely agree. I just don't know how you can change the way we did in, like, say, a half of footy.
No.
So I just think there might have been a bit of complacency set in. That's the only thing I can think of, because we were horrible in that first quarter.
I'm not sure it was complacency. I think it might have been, and they've talked about it during the week, some of the players in interviews and things, and even the presser after the match, they said they were over-possessing the ball in the first quarter, and I think that was, if anything, driven by not a fear of failure, but nervousness about wanting to get off to a good start. Don't want to turn over the ball. We don't want to make a mistake. Keep trying to hit these targets with these handballs that just weren't on because they wanted to make sure they didn't get caught with the ball and these sort of things. And it's when, as you have said, HBF on the forums, Mick gave him a massive spray at quarter time. I think it was stop playing around with the ball and do what your job is, and that's to move it on in the way that our plan is. And once they went back to that, then it was like a different side out there again. So I think it wasn't complacency. I think it was being nervous about getting off to a good start or something like that.
And I think that's what happens when Casbolt goes for a set shot at goal, right? Like, he stands there and you can almost see him going, don't stuff this up, you've got to kick a goal. And then he just overthinks it so much that it just goes almost backwards over his own head. So it's probably the same sort of principle. They were all week, they've copped it. As they're probably not even going to beat the Saints. It's the battle for the wooden spoon. It's the Bailey Rice Cup. All this sort of stuff. And that it's probably really hard to just close all that noise off and play football.
Casbolt copped a fair bit on the forums of this. Again, if you can't get the basic skills right, then get rid of him. He shouldn't be playing anymore. I still maintain 4 contested marks. He's by far and away the best contested mark in our side, one of the best contested marks in the AFL. I'm prepared to let Sav Rocker have some time with him. And even if it means that Casbolt plays more as the second ruck and up the ground where he's not actually going to be stuffing up shots at goal, I still think it's important to have him in the side, or just at least for the value he brings in crashing packs and bringing others into the game that way. Because, quite frankly...
a defender, yeah.
Well, look, Liam Jones will be pretty underwhelming without Casbolt there. He's pretty underwhelming now at the moment. He's struggling. So...
I have very little patience for Casbolt, and it's simply because he's paid to kick goals and he can't do it. I think he kicked 0-4. Like, it's just not a good return. You can't dress it up any other way. It is not what you want from a forward. But there were a few occasions where he was in our defensive 50 and he crashed a pack and he took a mark and he kicked it out to our advantage. So I don't know why they don't experiment with throwing him down back. I know people say, as if you want him kicking out of the defensive, blah, blah, blah. But he actually did it well. There was nothing wrong with what he was doing there. He can kick field kicks, no problem.
Just to get the blood boiling a little bit more, maybe he didn't actually register a score, and he had at least 2 that I can remember shots on goal.
Exactly.
Both went out on the full, one to the left and one to the right. So.
Well, you know what? He can get stuck.
He wishes he kicked 0-4. 2 more of those and he's got a goal.
I don't know that from them, but my point still stands.
Yeah, it does. And I think once Cruiser is ready to go and comes into the side, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him replace Casbolt if the other 2 forwards are still in form. Because that's what Cruiser can do, is actually kick the ball when he does take a mark in the forward line. He's probably not going to take as many as Casbolt, because Casbolt is elite at it. Maybe we'll see Cruiser and Kaz sharing the load and maybe get Kaz more into the ruck like you've suggested as well. But if I was Casbolt, I'd be very worried about Cruiser coming in and taking my spot unless I started kicking goals.
He's only a week away.
Breath with Cruiser, and I know that's probably not a good thing to say, but I just don't want to get excited about him coming back because we've had so many false dawns with him. So to me, he's like an added extra when he does come back, and I don't kind of factor him in at the moment because who knows?
Yeah, he's starting to get close though. He's getting close.
Yeah, but he was close last year, and then he got freaking gastro. So, I mean, none of it's within his control. So don't for a second think that I'm saying that. But surely he'll come back through the VFL for a start. When's the last time he played football? So I think it's going to be more than the 1 to 2 weeks or whatever it is that is currently on the website.
Yeah, I think it's going to be about a month before we see him probably.
I agree, and I think there's a chance he could play this week. I think maybe and I are going to go down to Sandringham and watch the Northern Blues on Sunday. So I'm actually hoping that the big fella will run out. I'd love to see him play again. It might be a bit chilly down there, maybe, so pack your thermals. But yeah, no, it's be exciting if he does play this weekend.
One final thing on this match, since it's been talked about on the boards a bit. Bryce Gibbs kicked a goal after seemingly refusing to shepherd for Patrick Cripps, who had the ball. Is that the way you saw it?
Nah. To me, I saw it as the better goal kicker out of the 2 should kick the goal. So I don't see anything wrong with it. I understand other people are sort of using it to point to the notion that Gibbs isn't working hard enough. But, I mean, if you had the choice, who would you want kicking the goal, Gibbs or Cripps?
Oh, I agree with that. I mean, he was always the better chance to kick the goal. Cripps isn't a long kick, and he's not that penetrating with his kicking yet. But it was just the appearances on the field. And look, people say it looked like Cripps was actually waving him into shepherd. I'm not sure if that's what he was doing, or they were just sort of trying to set up with the positioning. I'm not sure.
I think he was. Cripps has just taken possession, had a look around left and right, and seeing Gibbs there, waved him into shepherd. But I think Gibbs had already looked ahead, realised that they were clear for the next 15 metres and he could take a shot. So he said, no, give me the ball, I'll do it. And that's what you want your leaders to do.
Yeah, that's the vice captain's job, isn't it?
Yeah, more than happy with that decision.
Mind you, if he missed...
if you miss, people would have... Yeah.
Sliding doors, you'd never get over that. That would be...
murdering him.
That's right. It's just the way it goes. It's a game of inches, isn't it? Look, let's just quickly move on to a brief pre-game pet talk.
Pre-game pep talk.
So Friday, 7:50 at the MCG, Carlton take on Collingwood, traditional rivals in a big game. Collingwood have come off Anzac Day win against Essendon. Do we see any possible ins or outs for Carlton?
Depends how Allard pulls up, I suppose, after his head clash.
There's got to
Did
be.
he get a concussion or?
I don't know about concussion. We
Just
haven't
a nose,
heard
wasn't
the
it?
injury list yet, though, so it might come out that he's broken his nose or something like that. He was
Yeah,
pretty,
it looked pretty blah
Yeah.
from around.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it was a nose. Menzel's available again?
Yeah, Menz and Judd, if they're good to go, you'd almost. I mean, of course they'd come in, really.
Yeah, they're suggesting Judd will be right. So,
He actually declared himself right on the news tonight. So
and Judd coming in probably means that Wiley has to wait again.
Which is a shame because I'm dying to see Wiley out there after seeing him in the VFL. I just got pumped about him. I just want to get around him all the time and just, not just because of his luscious locks, they help. but he's another exciting player, but obviously, Judd.
I could see 5 changes. It's not going to happen as a winning side. They'll probably make 1 or 2 changes at the max. But I could see 5 changes that I think would probably improve our side right now, the way we're travelling. Menzel in, Jackson, and maybe Jones or Casbolt to miss. Throw it around that way. Wiley in, Graham in, and obviously Judd back in. And I'd see Curnow and Karatse missing, quite frankly, because I think they need a bit of a spur, and I think it's no coincidence that we brought in some pace into that side and some youthful exuberance, and they're the ones that led the way, and really Curnow and Karatse had really done a lot, and I think it just showcases that having those negating type players who are a bit one-paced was hurting us the first 3 weeks, and that's what, as we all suspected.
I have a question. What does Jones bring that we think Jack wouldn't? Because I can't have Jones. I just cannot have him.
Oh, look, to me, I think Jack is just a better player, and I would have him in over Jones any day of the week. I think it's a fairly simple answer. Jones out and Jack comes in.
That Jones is a bigger body and probably has a bigger presence as a forward, but then again, Jax can play down back quite easily and not look out of place there. So it's a really good question. If Jones or Casbolt are the match committee and the coach aren't happy with their performance, and they do decide to drop one of them, then that's quite easily a solution today, is to bring Jack in. But there are a lot of questions, and fair enough, over maybe our boy Sam Rowe. He hasn't been playing that well. So, if they decide to go down that route, and Jamison as well has got an injury cloud, so it's still going to be interesting to see if any of our key defenders in Rowe and Jamison get dropped, and it'll pretty much guarantee that Jack comes in. In fact, having said that, Rowe, Jamison not playing great, Jones and Casbolt not playing great, you'd almost bet your house that Jack is going to come in. It's just for who is the question, really.
Well, Rowe was vomiting on Saturday, so I don't know if he's lost a whole heap of fitness space, or because I didn't think he was particularly run ragged like Rewalt did to Jamo a few years ago. I thought it was just a normal game that he wasn't playing particularly well, but he was throwing up, so don't know. But interesting as well, Watson kicked 3 in the VFL on the weekend. Is anybody keen, or should we just let him? Yeah?
I think he'd be worth a shot over Jones at the moment, purely because he only needs to get the ball a couple of times, and he's probably going to kick those goals. And Jones kicking isn't that much better than Levi's, quite frankly, at the moment. I'll stick up. Rowe is out of form, and I've been looking at him as being one that could go out of the side, but I'll stick up for him here in that he has versatility. He can go in the ruck, he can play down back, he can go forward, kick a goal, and he's a good kick. If Jax comes into the side, Jax is also a good kick, and Jax loves to play forward. He's played forward before. Right. He's a pretty good contested mark. He's got long arms, and he really meets the ball at its highest arc. And I think both those guys, if we need to be able to change the side around, because we can't rely on Jamo. He seems injured from quarter to quarter, and then back on again when you think he's gone. And it's a bit of a worry. But having a player like Rowe, if you have Jack and Rowe in the side as a bit of backup, and one of them playing forward, rather than having to send Hendo back all the time to cover for a Jamo injury, you just send Rowe or Jack back.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And Jones just doesn't have that versatility. It's forward or bust.
The Collingwood backline, just thinking about who are actually playing, the Collingwood backline, their key defenders aren't particularly big. None of them are as big as Sam Rowe, who we probably want out there to take cloak, to at least initially. So we could probably get away with having Jack as a forward, even though he is what people would consider a little bit undersized at the moment.
I think even just what we were discussing previously about Watson, I mean, he can also go back as well. So, we've got so many talls that can play at both end of the ground, or, in Casbolt's case, he can play in the ruck. It's really only Jones that, is stuck as a forward. I mean, even Jamo, who we've trialled as a forward from time to time. So, yeah, look, I'm really keen on Watson to come in.
Might be nice to have a left footer up forward too.
Oh, look, why not? I mean, he kicks the ball 55 metres and, probably he's going to kick it more times than he won't. So he will take the third defender if Casbolt and Henderson play. So, they've got Brown and Frost as their two tall backs, but I'm not sure who their third tall back is off the top of my head. So we could actually get a mismatch there on Friday night. And it is going to be a really nice day in Melbourne, so it should be dry and quite a quick game.
I think we're going to do it. I just have this feeling that we're just going to be high off the win. We're going to be trying to win it for Mick, and I know it's not about wins and losses, he's the record that he's breaking, but I think it would be, something that they would want to honour him with. And I think we've got the motivation, and I think we can do it.
Yeah, I got a good feeling too, maybe. I'm feeling it.
My only issue is that bloody Elliott plays like he's a Brownlow medalist whenever we play Collingwood.
Well, look, I was thinking about matchups, and I'm thinking Doherty probably on Elliott. It's good to have somebody with a bit of steel that can play back and read the play really well. So I mean, I would have been okay with say Kieran Byrne if he was available, but Doherty would probably have the professionalism and the attitude to stick with him and nullify him. So who do we think Seedsman got the medal for the Anzac Day game? Who do we think should we run with him? Somebody like an Army, maybe?
That's definitely a possibility. I mean, he's certainly got the speed to go with Seedsman, so I think that could actually be quite a good matchup.
Anybody else? Do we tag Pendlebury, Swan, or we just start going head-to-head with some of these guys?
Yeah, that's a hard one. I think if Curnow and Karatse play, which I don't really want, I think at least one of them has to go to Pendlebury. Swan's back to that form where he's almost untaggable, so it's really hard with Collingwood because you've got to clamp down on one of them. So I guess that's going to be what they're planning or be this week.
Yeah. All right. Predictions?
Carlton by 11 points.
I'll say Carlton by 15 points and Hendo to kick 4.
Ooh. How many is Casbolt kicking?
He'll kick 7.
Can you imagine if that happened? Oh, the boards. The meltdowns. I'm going to go Carlton and by 8 goals because
whoa!
Damn,
I called 10 against the Saints and it was 8. So I'll just bring it down a little.
8 goals.
That's the breaks, my friend.
Yeah,
that's 48 points, maybe.
Yep, and Henderson will kick 6.
Hey,
Carlton by however many contested possessions Patrick Cripps gets.
Oh, good call.
Nice.
goals or points?
Points will do.
We'll go with points. I won't be greedy. All right, I think we'll wrap it up there. Lots to talk about. Finally, a little bit of joy to be had, and maybe something to look forward to if we can win on Friday night and go to 2-3. Suddenly, that doom and gloom picture around about quarter time last Saturday will be a distant memory. So, until next week. Thanks for joining us, ShanDog.
No worries, thank you. Everyone book your tickets for the grand final.
I did actually see one of our posters talking about top 4 now that we've started.
I saw that and I thought, I'm just going to let them be happy.
Yeah, we turn somersaults and all that. Is that right? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks, HBF.
Good night, everybody.
And thanks, Mebby. Would you say goodbye to all your fans out there, Mebby?
Oh, bye, everybody. Speak to you next week.
That'll keep them going. All right. Thanks, everybody. Go Blue Boys.
Go Blues!